Tom Hendricks says, I'm here, but I want to give it to someone else. If you want to give it to someone else, that is fine with you. I think Tom recently won, and I don't know if he's feeling guilty. You don't have to give it to someone else, but I will re-roll if you wanted to give somebody else a chance. So let me give you one more chance to take that back.
So that's quite generous.
That is very generous. Tom, what are your thoughts? And also, to anybody that has questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I will get to them right now with Will. Let's see. I don't know how bad the lag is here. Pull up. Gary Baton says that you guys could run NDI on the existing NAB Convention Center network is by far and away the most impressive proof of concept I've ever seen.
You know, we had this idea, and it's just like, you know, let's go light this thing up. And, you know, of course, we did think that it was, I mean, this is what we designed it for. But, you know, it's always interesting because there was a lot of things that we didn't know about. We didn't have control of the network. We really didn't even know what gear and what components were in place. But working with the Las Vegas Convention Center and then with Cox as their managed service provider, it was a beautiful thing, and vendors could connect up. And it really, you know, arguably is the largest live video production IP or content production IP technology demonstration that has happened worldwide, regardless of standard or format.
And I know I don't have a great understanding of this stuff, but that seems pretty darn impressive, even for someone like me who's just getting into this. So I have redrawn as Thomas's request, and the new winner is Joseph Amoa. Congrats, Joseph Amoa. Are you in the chat? Remember, you have to claim your prize in the chat. All right, first question we have for you, Will, is how long before NDI becomes a WAN solution?
Well, okay, WAN, I'm guessing it's for wide area network. And,
okay,
you know, depending on what you have as your definition there, a lot of people use that as well, is that the public internet and different things. We actually already have a number of installations and customers using NDI to transmit video across pretty large geographic distances. For instance, there are 11 different football stadiums and arenas in El Salvador that are doing all of their production via their cameras, but bringing it all back to a centralized location via fiber. Same thing is happening with some installations in Sweden, as well as right here in the States with a link between New York and LA. But if we're getting out to the public internet, you know, that gets a little more complicated just because, again, you don't have control over all the particular variables. But what's great about NDI and that there's internet, or that it's on IP, is that actually this is just a matter of time until the development and technology allows for those connections to be there. So I can't give you a date, but, you know, conceivably, theoretically, we're not that far into the future.
Right. So we have a number of questions for you. Paul says, any hints about what we might see at IBC in Amsterdam?
Well, we don't, as a policy, we don't talk about future development. But what I can say is that NewTek is definitely known for innovation, and we have quite a lot of things that we're working on.
Exciting. And that was actually meant to be one of our points on the agenda. What do you guys have coming up that you can share with us as far as events, or if there's any type of hint you can give us?
Oh, well, you know, events, we're very active. You know, we will be, of course, having our display in a booth at Infocom. We have things going on with the Sports Video Group and the COSIDA and the Ideal, and I think SMPTE conference down in Sydney, and that's just off the top of my head. And that all happens, you know, between now and, say, you know, the second week of July. As far as products and everything, though, you know, we innovate in just an incredible way. Right now, we just released TC1 with Tricaster and a whole actually line of what we call our NewTek Connect products that allow for you to utilize your equipment that you already have and take advantage of this NDI workflow, which, you know, obviously Connect Pro is a part of that, which is available here for the PTZOptics customers. But, you know, there are other hardware devices that we have available there. And so that's just, you know, really, it's getting that out in the marketplace and seeing what customers can do and the stories that they can create off that technology.
Yeah. Julian says, where and how is the best way to learn about everything works without experimenting with trial and error? Are there classes or groups? Just curious regarding the Tricaster, NDI, whatnot.
Yes, of course. Well, one of the great places, well, first off, for anyone looking for more information, we have really the starter, that full video that you showed a preview of earlier in the production. That's all available at newtek.com /NDI. So that'll take you through a path that you can start there with a lot of information. There's some technical briefs, some troubleshooting documentation that really starts to put that all together. And then, of course, the NewTek forums is a great place to ask questions and to start working with that. We also have, other YouTube channels and various things, and we have a real large distribution and network with a lot of experts out there in the marketplace that are putting solutions together. And you can always call NewTek, looking for different avenues there. We have a whole team now that actually does training and concept and design consultancy for both our own sales channel as well as any end user or pretty much anyone that is looking to take advantage of this type of technology.
Yeah, you also have a very well-established YouTube channel, which I was stalking a little bit earlier today. Everyone's asking when we are going to have an NDI camera in the future. It's one of those things that we're not supposed to talk about either, but it is coming someday. I don't know exactly when. Everybody's getting on board. Tom says, so in a sense, you could access the world of content with even a 2-input switcher, let alone the 16-input TC1, correct?
Well, yes, but it's all about how you want to tell your story and you as a producer, what it is that you want to do. You can always do this kind of matrix switch and grab sources from all over the place. But there is a certain aspect of being able to see what's available and immediately put those together and pretty much grab from any source. I did talk in the show today about this history of video production, and while the technology may be changing as far as how we actually pass video back and forth, one of the things that our broadcasting and our video world is very good at is telling stories.
Yeah.
And how you tell the story, that's something that we don't just want to throw away just because we have a new technology to play with. The people that know and work in as far as telling those stories are very much valid today, just as they've been, all along the way. And having access and views, I mean, when we do our market research and when we talk to customers, that's a really, really important thing that they always give feedback for is having access, being able to see that, knowing what to put together. And, a good director in a live environment can really create a dramatic storyline that is really emotional and really keeps the eyeballs, which is ultimately what you want.
Yeah. Quite a few more questions here. Let's see. Tom Yocom says basically you could run from OBS as long as you could see the IP connections, correct? See the first question. Was he the one that asked? Oof. Oh yeah, he is the one that asked the last question.
Yeah, I don't know what the first question was, but OBS, I'm assuming you're talking about the open broadcaster used for gaming and streaming quite a bit. There is, I believe, OBS is interesting because it is an open source and a lot of different development going on. But I do believe someone has posted up on GitHub a plugin that will allow you to utilize NDI with OBS. And so from that standpoint, that is a viable workflow. You can definitely utilize NDI sources in and out of OBS.
How about this one? Is an NDI processor intensive? What is the load per connection? So is that the limit of connections?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, yes, there's always a technical, we have to think, what technically the resources and the bandwidth that you may have, whether it's on a machine or on the network. But I can give you just quickly, not to get too far in the weeds, but NDI, effectively, we have created it so that it takes no more impact than what you would normally find in a capture card. So if you're putting a capture card in your computer, that tends to be very little overhead. So technically, we write to 2% of CPU per stream. And as far as overhead, and then from a bandwidth standpoint, well, it depends on the resolution and the frame rate that you're working with. But You can target, say, a 1080i, standard HD stream. It's going to run about 100 megabit, somewhere right around there, 100 megabit per second. So on a single gigabit connection, okay, you're going to probably run out of bandwidth at a certain point. But here's the beautiful thing about NDI in IP networks. It's kind of a crazy thing to wrap your head around. Unless you're using that source on program somewhere, you don't use that bandwidth. So you can actually move a lot more sources around on the network than what the technical, numbers may, if you're thinking about it like in the traditional realm, you would be very limited. But you got to think about it like IT and data, and really you can expand that infinitely if you had enough budget.
Yeah, everybody's Paul's shocked. He did not know that there was a plugin for NDI on OBS.
Well, I can say it's a plugin. I mean, you're going to have to, buy. I guess your mileage may vary, but it's out there. I was actually playing with that yesterday, and being that it's open source, that's just going to be part of what that is. But works pretty fantastically.
Yeah. Can we touch on the latency using NDI? Because I think that's a really attractive thing about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, latency, again, it comes down to what particular things you're working with, and how it's applied in the particular device. Again, if we're talking about NDI itself, we have a technical latency that can even get down to about 16 scan lines if it's being done in hardware. Now, practical implementations, though, when you're working in software, you're probably dealing at 1 frame for an encode and transmit, and that's where all our products would see that, since we're working utilizing that that software-driven live production.
Alrighty, here. Let's see. James says he did some tests with it. It was about 1 frame. Yeah, when asking around in my office about NDI, everybody says, I realize it's very low latency. It's fast. All right.
This is, just on that statement, this is really important, because if you're doing creation and you're doing a live production, you need to have your video sources very fast, and they need to be timed together. And there's a lot of video over IP technology out there. We've had this for years, right? But to switch that, and so you can do a live production, that's where it gets complicated. So NDI is low latency, it's frame accurate, and it's high quality, and it's suitable for broadcast production.
Right. So I redrew, and I have a winner that I know is in the chat. Julian Bellman, you are the last and final winner. So congratulations, Julian, on that. I will be in touch with you via email. You can go ahead and shoot me an email as well. Paul says pretty much everyone supports NDI now. xSplit, OBS, Wirecast, Livestream, vMix.
That's true. Pretty much any of the software-based production platforms have adopted NDI, as well as a whole host of other, even I guess you would consider them traditional broadcast vendors. It's just the adoption rate has been massive.
Right. Definitely. All right. So do we have any more questions in the chat for our guests today? This was really informative. I feel like I needed this live show because we talk so much about NDI around here that I feel like it was good that I was on my own, because I was able to pull this information myself from you and really be able to engage in that. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. NDI, it's taken off. I think I see one other question there. If yes. I can
go ahead.
Answer real quick about the audio sync. Yes. NDI does transmit. Here's a beautiful thing. It transmits video, audio, control information, metadata, things like tally information, as well as you can embed control aspects with various products. So that all gets locked together so that it's all timed to the frame of video that it would be working with.
Yeah, and I can really see many different areas finding NDI useful, whether you're streaming in churches, or if you're doing a live sports stream, or you're needing multiple video feeds and spreading them around classrooms. So you guys really hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. One other thing, and this is it's kind of breathtaking if you think about it, but if you think about the full range of video, like we have consumer video products that use HDMI and various connectors there, and then typically in broadcast we use the SDI method. Even with those technologies, while they're tried and true, and we know and love them, typically HDMI is for consumer type stuff, and HD-SDI is used for professional. I can say now with NDI, we find that across the entire range. So as we were talking about OBS and xSplit, these are programs and technology that's being used by gamers and streamers at a very low cost. But NDI is now also being used by the traditional broadcast vendors who are at the very, very top of the broadcast pyramid, if you will. That is just, it's fascinating to watch, and it's really exciting to be able to work with such a wide range of vendors and customer types.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely opened up a lot of doors, I bet. We do have a couple more questions. Richard says, can I use a $100 micro PC as an NDI monitor and receiver?
Yeah, you can. We have the NDI tools pack, and that's available. Again, if you go to newtek.com/NDI, there is a download that you can actually start working with this on your computers or the devices that you have in software for free. And the NDI video monitor can run, it's got pretty low requirements. There is, I don't have them off the top of my head, but it's pretty low cost. You definitely should check out. But you can start moving NDI, say, from VLC directly into video monitor, or from any of these other programs we've been talking about for very, very low cost. And hey, try it out. See what you find.
Right. I'm not sure what this time code is, but Nint says, does NDI send SMTPE time code?
SMT time code. Yeah, it's the Society of Motion Pictures and Television Engineers. So yes, there is a time code that is used and usually helpful for all different sorts of things, from recording ISO camera feeds for post-production to keeping things in sync in time. So answer to the question is no. NDI does not require SMT time code. However, if a developer chooses to insert, say, SMPTE standard 2059, that is possible to put into and use with NDI. So it is not required, but it can. So that's going to be up to the edge device. NDI itself doesn't care, but the edge device, or whoever's doing the development for the product, if they choose to insert it, then yes, it can pass with that.
Okay. Well, again, Will, thank you so much for joining us on this holiday afternoon. I might be the only one here when I leave this studio.
Hey, I'll be right there with you.
Okay.
I think everybody's ready to get started on their weekend.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us today, and I hope that you have a great holiday weekend.
Thanks so much.
And to everybody in the chat, thank you for watching today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not, and if you want to see more videos like this. And we will see you next week live at 2 p.m. Eastern. Let's roll the credits again, if I can find them again.
And that's all, folks. We appreciate your participation in the chat room and can't wait to host our next informative Q&A session. Your questions drive the conversation forward for live streaming professionals around the world. Until next time, happy streaming!